right, so now we're going to go over an objection. It's a very common one. We usually get this at the door if the customer tells you, I am not interested. Okay, so you can tell the customer, say, hey, I'm not here to generate interest. I'm just here to show you a report to see if you qualify for this program. All right, we have two policies in this program. The first policy is you literally do not pay anything out of pocket, so zero down. The second policy is your payment has to be cheaper than what you're currently paying with FPL or Duke Energy. Okay, so those are the two things: no out-of-pocket cost, and the rate has to be cheaper. Okay, in their mind, they're thinking to themselves, I can't afford solar because I have to come out of pocket, so therefore I'm not interested. That's why they tell you they're not interested, because they think that they can't get solar because there's this huge upfront cost and that it's for the rich and famous and blah, blah, blah. Reality is you just have to cut through that and just let them know that they can qualify for this. And a lot of times if they say they're not interested, you have to ask them, okay, well, I'm sure you've talked to a couple of people about solar. What did you not like about the last guy that came by? Or what did you not like about the program that when they came by originally? And they'll tell you, oh, well, it's because I just didn't feel like I was ready, or oh, it was too much money up front, or whatever their objection is. It's our job to cut right through that and to figure out what it is that made them not get the solar system, okay? So, if they say I'm not interested, respond, say, hey, I'm not here to generate interest. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm just here to qualify and educate you on how this program works. It is a federally funded program, and you get a 30% tax credit, and you can kind of transition out of it, okay? So just make sure that when somebody tells you they're not interested, a lot of times they're just not showing you their true emotions and reflection of how they feel about it. We have to be good at digging deep and asking questions to figure out what their true feeling is about the nature of that transaction. And in this instance, a lot of people just tell you we're not interested because they legit don't really know enough about it. Maybe they're uneducated, maybe they heard somebody had a bad story, whatever it is, right? But it's our job to cut through that and figure out why they're not interested. Now, the second objection is, I need to speak to my spouse, okay? This is a very common one. Obviously, if a customer is sitting down with you, and let's say it's the husband, and you start pitching the husband and you're at the kitchen table, you don't really want to proceed without the wife, right? You want to get the wife involved. So if you're pitching the customer and halfway through your presentation, they look at you and say, hey, this all sounds good. Can you email this over to me and I'll show this to my wife? That's a big no-no. You want to stop right there. You don't want to email them anything, and you certainly don't want to be giving them out any numbers. You want to sit down with them and you want to do what's called a revisit. All right, the revisit is going to be, hey, Mr. Customer, you know what? Is there any chance you can get your spouse involved? Do you want to go grab her real quick so she can see this design, right? That's obviously the best, form right then and there. If she's in the home but she's not there sitting down, just ask the customer to get the spouse, right? Say, hey, is it all right if you get your spouse so she can see the design? That way we can kind of ask her any questions that she may have, right? I would say 50% of the time this works. And sometimes even during that sales process, the customer will be like, oh no, it's fine. She doesn't need to see this. I'm the one that handles the bills and da-da-da-da-da. What did he just tell you? He just told you that he can make a decision without her, okay? Regardless of the point, it's always good to have both those decision makers there. Even if she doesn't make the decisions, even if she's not the decision maker, it's good to bring her into the frame, because it's important that they're both there and that they both feel like they're making this transaction together, right? So even if he tells you that, say, oh, it's okay, I just want to show the design real quick, just go grab her. And if you insist a second time and he still shuts it down, then say, okay, no worries, let's just proceed with this. And you're the type of guy that as long as she's okay with it, she's cool with it too, right? And just kind of chuckle about it and make a joke out of it and say, yeah, of course, okay, sounds good. Well, here's how many panels you're gonna need, and then you kind of proceed with it. But at least you took the time to go through the step of getting the spouse involved, okay, and then having her sit down. Now, if she for whatever reason isn't there, then that's what's called a revisit. You're going to need to redo the appointment and come back and say, hey, what time is your spouse going to be here? Should we come back at 5 or 6 o'clock? What's a better time for you guys? And then at that point, then you can come back and say, all right, let's visit when your spouse is here. I'm happy to come back around 6 or 7. What's a better time for you? And make sure that they're both there, right? Because that's the whole point. If they're not there, they're going to continue playing this little game with you. Oh yeah, well, I'm going to be here tomorrow at 6, but you know, she's not going to be here. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want to do that. We want to be there when they're both there, right? Because that's when the decision is made, when they're both there and they're both present, okay? So that's the whole point of this objection, right? It's one of those things where it's more of a condition because both husband and wife need to be there in order to move forward with it, okay? Now, if someone asks you, this sounds too good to be true, what's the catch? That's another objection that we get common. The way you handle it is you tell the customer, again, number one, you bring up the fact that there's the RPS, the Renewable Portfolio Standard, and you explain to them that every single year, as a country, we have to have a certain amount of clean energy or renewable power, and that utility companies have to comply with that. Number two, you explain to them that because of the Inflation Act, that 4 out of 10 homes have to have solar panels by 2030. So 4 out of 10 homes have to have solar, and it's just a matter of time. You can even use this phrase, say, Mr. Customer, it's not a question of if you'll go solar, it's just a matter of time. It's a matter of with which company and when, right? So, you would agree that we have an amazing offer as far as our installation company? Yes. You would agree that I've made an amazing opportunity for you to be able to get panels installed with me? Yes. Okay, awesome. And the price seems like it's a good price in order to move forward with this? Yes. Do you see any reason why this would not make sense? And just pause and let them tell you, oh, well, I don't think I'm going to move forward with it today because I have this, this, and this, and this, right? Ask them the question preemptively. Say, Mr. Customer, if we can save you money and there's nothing out of pocket and we can get you all your system installed, would you see any reason this would not make sense, right? And ask them for the sale preemptively. Tell them that you're looking for them to make a decision today. That way they feel like, okay, yeah, as long as X, Y, and Z are in check, I'm willing to move forward with this.